Welcome to the Lock Shop with Nielson and Hustler, powered by COOLBET Canada.
Happy Saturday, everybody, and welcome back inside the Lock Shop. Nielson and Huss back with you once again. It is Props and Parlays Saturday as we get you ready. Final installment of all of our Lock Shop content, working our way through the week until Sunday. If you missed any of the previous episodes, if you missed our best bets, I guess there's no point in going back and checking out Thursday Night Football. Now, our CFL picks are out. We've dropped those on Wednesday. You can find them all on the podcast stream, wherever you get your podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeart, wherever you get your podcasts. Just search the Lock Shop, give us a sub over there. And, of course, on the new YouTube channel, just go to our Twitter account, @LockShopBets. It's the pinned tweet. Retweet it. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're up over 250 members now. When we hit 1,000, we're going to give away $1,000 cash. Huss, happy Saturday, buddy. How are you, man?
Right back at you. You ready to get out here to the Peg for this big one tomorrow afternoon or what?
Hopping on a plane this afternoon, buddy, down to Calgary and then out to the Peg. So I'm excited. I can't wait. I was excited last week for that Stamps Lions game, and I'm very excited for the Bombers and Lions this week.
Well, I can tell you there's 30,000 plus here in Winnipeg that are equally excited. And that doesn't count the guys inside that Bomber dressing room. I can confirm to you, Dusty, football weather has arrived here in the capital of Manitoba. We have about -8 right now. It looks like it's going to be a daytime high of about -4 tomorrow.
I'll take it.
I mean, we got that like out of the blue, wasn't even supposed to hit us. And we got like 15 centimeters of snow on, I guess it would be Thursday night. So it's going to look very wintry here in Winnipeg. I know the Bombers have been having some fun on their socials, telling everyone that the winter is here and the game time is tomorrow. And by the way, we're going to get into our partner parlay for the NFL, but we do have one from earlier in the week for the CFL game. We sort of split it up. I took the West. Dusty took the East. I've got Bombers -4.5 and Nick Dembski to score a touchdown. Dusty's on Alouettes +3.5 and Gene Lewis to score a touchdown. And it's juiced up to +1250. So you can get that at the COOLBET exclusives right now in the left margin at COOLBET.com. And the Lock Shop partner parlay is up as well. And we'll get to that in just a minute.
Yes, exactly. And that's still there. So both of them are there. If you go and you look, you'll be like, where is it? I only see the one thing. Click on the Lock Shop link, and it'll take you to both of our exclusives on that page, just in case you're having trouble finding it. We've got some touchdown scores we're going to give you a little bit later on. I got a +260 touchdown this weekend that I absolutely love. So we'll get to that. We got some parlays that we'll get to as well. And then, of course, we always start with our partner parlay. So let's dive into that right now, Huss. And, if you listen to our Best Bets episode, if you haven't, what are you doing? It's we have a lot of fun with our Best Bets episode every Friday. This doesn't probably surprise you too much. These are two of these three picks are games that we were both on, and we've moved the line here in both of these games, Huss, in our favor. So, these would be two that I think we're pretty confident on right now.
Yeah, well, and as I said, we went through them yesterday. We kind of knew that, we sort of agreed almost on the show yesterday that Pittsburgh was going to be our sort of team pick, and then we'd each take one. But yeah, in our best bets, we were both on Pittsburgh +1.5. We both like the Dallas Cowboys to win in Green Bay and cover the -4.5. But with the partner parlay, there's been a few close ones, and we've had a real success so far this year by adjusting the numbers. So we've sort of teased these numbers. And then Uncle Pat over at HQ has given us a nice little boost. Well, we've got it up. But yeah, Pittsburgh 1.5. I would have been fine with leaving it on there. I do like them on the money line, and we'll talk about that a little bit later on in an underdog parlay I've got going. But the ability, Dusty, to get it up past 3 to 3.5, I think is crucial. It could be crucial. Maybe it won't matter at all if Pittsburgh wins, but I'm a lot more comfortable having it in as the team pick on the parlay at +3.5. And you basically did the same thing with that Dallas number, getting it from 4.5 to 2.5. We all know that in the National Football League, that number 3 is so crucial. If you can get the hook on either side, I think we've sort of put ourselves in a pretty nice position. And for my side of things, looking for another game that fit in with what we were doing. And we talked yesterday about the line in the Arizona Rams game. And it was strange in that, it was at -1.5. The Rams are at home right now. Listen, they haven't been anything to write home about, but God knows neither of the Cardinals. And the Rams usually pound the Cardinals historically. I mean, much like Kyle Shanahan owns Sean McVay owns Cliff Kingsbury and the Arizona Cardinals. So this game right now, let me just get it up here for a live number on this. Yeah, it's 3 now. So it's gone from 1.5 to 3 yesterday. And I think that indicates that Matt Stafford is going to be good to go in this game. So, we could have laid it at 2.5. We could have put it at 3. But again, knowing that we were maybe going to get a little juice on this thing, got it on Rams money line. So just Rams to win this game along with those other 2. And when I put those in originally, I believe it was plus 351, but lock shoppers get a nice little bonus. And it's going to be popping off at 4-1. And I really like this one, dude.
What'd you call him? Uncle Pat? Do you call him Uncle Patty?
Yeah.
I like that. I like that handle for him. Uncle Patty. What do you got for us today? Well, kids, I've got a 4-1 for you. Perfect.
He looks a lot more like an uncle right now with that duster that he's rocking for Movember. That's for sure.
All right, so there you go. That's our partner parlay. Pittsburgh plus 3.5. Love that play. Dallas minus 2.5. I got Dallas on some money line stuff. We got him. I'm afraid, like you've had a lot of good weeks, 3-1s and stuff. For me, it's kind of been that one game that sewered me on a bunch of different levels each week. And part of me is like, oh, Mike McCarthy, don't blow it. So I guess a little bit of hesitation there, but I'm Dallas for my best bet at 4.5. Of course, we're going to throw it in here at 2.5. And then, I am fully on board with fading the Cardinals the rest of the season. So Rams money line here at 4-1. Before we dive into our other parlays here, let's pop back over to the main screen. And Gitch is watching on YouTube right now. And he says, could the Vikings upset the Bills if Allen isn't playing? I think so. That's what Gitch thinks. What do you think, Huss, if it's no Josh Allen?
I'll say this. It's a hell of a lot more likely if Case Keenum's playing than if Josh Allen isn't. And, hey, this is a team that just lost to the New York Jets last week with Josh Allen. That being said, I still think the Vikes, are a significant underdog in this game. But it's looking more and more like it is going to be Case Keenum time. Yesterday when we were doing the show, it was at 3.5. It's now at 3. And, I think come game time, if we get the inactive report a couple hours before the game and it says Josh Allen will not play, you might even see that go down below 3 right now. Listen, the Bills could still win.
I would think I could see it. Yeah, I could see it getting down to 2 or 1.5. Yeah.
But honestly, I think I'm sort of with Gitch on this. I think this is a really good opportunity for Minnesota. There's so many people that don't believe in Minnesota right now, even at 7-1. And honestly, if they beat the Bills without Josh Allen, they'll still have probably a number of people that won't believe in them yet. But they've been clutch. They've come up big. Kirk Cousins is playing well. This is a noon game, so it's no prime time Kirk Cousins. And as I said, I think the Bills' big picture, they got to make sure that they've got Josh Allen as close to 100% as possible when it really counts come playoff time. So if they need to cool him off for a week or 2, I think they can handle it. But it certainly does make this game, I think, much more intriguing and a lot closer. And certainly from a Viking standpoint, a lot more live if big number 17 isn't behind center.
Like I said, we're going to get to our other parlays here, but another question on Twitter this time says NFL futures, and this is at COOLBET, NFL comeback player of the year. Can anyone challenge Geno at minus 164, Huss? Geno Smith is the minus 164 favorite for comeback player of the year. The other 5 in the mix would be Saquon at plus 195. Christian McCaffrey at 12-1, don't see it. Derrick Henry at 20-1, don't see it. You got Nick Gates, Travis Etienne, Daniel Jones, and Juju as a long shot there. I think that's a great question from Come From Away NL on Twitter. Who challenges Geno for this? He's looking like probably not top 3 in the MVP conversation, but he's probably top 7 in the MVP conversation right now.
The only individual that can challenge Geno Smith for the comeback player of the year is the Grim Reaper. And when I say that, I mean the Grim Reaper of injuries. Like, for instance, if Geno was knocked out this game and didn't play the rest of the year, maybe there'd be someone that would sneak into it. But the Seahawks have been maybe the best story in the league all season long. Nothing was expected of this team. Not a lot was expected of Geno Smith. And he has been, without question, the comeback player of the year right now. So I mean, 164, to be honest, might actually be some half decent value on this.
I was going to say, it should probably be closer to minus 200, really.
There's still half the season left. Even if Seattle's just sort of average the rest of the way, I think Geno's still like clearly ahead of everybody else. And who knows? I mean, maybe something incredible can happen with Christian McCaffrey in the second half of the year with the Niners now that he's in his new spot. But to me, Geno is the guy, and then there's everybody else. And I think that if he stays healthy, he will win that award.
All right, let's get into our other parlays that we're bringing to the table this week. And Haas, look at this underdog parlay at plus 878. You risky boy. I like it.
Well, you know what? I always like to put a little sprinkle on a couple of underdogs. And when we were going through the list yesterday, we talked a lot about Pittsburgh, and, we talked about Seattle still being somewhat slept on. Now, I'm not, and this is part of the reason why it is the underdog parlay and a little bit more of a long shot, but Tampa's got they're flying to Germany as well. I don't love the fact that game, I believe, is starting at like 6 a.m. Seattle time. And they've just been out there this week. So, I mean, there may be some issues with acclimatizing themselves, but overall, Seattle's been way better than Tampa has been this year, and their defense is stepping up. Tom Brady and that team may have gotten a bit of a boost from that, big last minute of the game, but we can't forget about the other 59 minutes of the game and the other 8 games this season where Tampa's stunk.
Yeah.
So, I mean, right now, it's the number on Seattle for the game is plus 128 on the money line, and they're even money at plus 125. This actually is trending as if it might actually get back to 3. So if you're thinking about betting that game, maybe give it a couple hours and see where that number goes. But I do think Seattle has a great chance of winning this football game. We went over Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is a team that I liked on the spread. It is part of the best bets, but considering they are a home dog, they're certainly going to get in on this ticket. And Pittsburgh right now, just north of, wow, this number is now down. Pittsburgh's just plus 1, and the money line is plus 2. But hey, we'll take it. And then the other game that I'm going to put in is the Detroit Lions. And by the way, that number was 2.5. That is now up to 3 for Detroit. And Detroit's plus 120 on the money line. And listen, as great as Justin Fields was last week, going up against Miami and running for a record 178 yards on the ground, I still have major questions about the Bears offensively and defensively. They've traded away their top 2 defensive players and got absolutely gashed by the Dolphins last week. Now, the Lions are still the Lions, but I'll tell you what, that was a huge win for them last week in the division at home against the Packers. And when you look at some of the games and the teams that the Lions have played this year, I mean, they've hung in. That Dallas game, I'm still mad about that Dallas game where was it Jamal Williams fumbled on the 1. This is in the fourth quarter. It would have put them up by 4. Then the Dallas defense took over and they covered easily. But the Detroit Lions are absolutely live in this game. This game, to me, frankly, is closer to a toss-up, a pickup. Maybe we'll go Chicago 55-45. So I think there's some value there. Looking for a third team to get on that underdog parlay. We're going to roll with the Lions in Chicago. So, yeah, Detroit, Pittsburgh, Seattle to win is plus 878. So I got in on that. I figured people might want to ride with a little bit of a riskier one. And then I was having a tough time figuring out between these 4 games, which one I wanted to end up settling on for the 3. And I said, what the heck? Let's just go with all 4. We've talked about Dallas. We've teased that down to 2.5. Listen, I think the Dallas defense is clearly the elite unit on either side of the football in this game. And I don't need to tell anyone about the struggles of the Packers offense right now. I do like them at minus 4.5, but for the parlay, let's get it down like we did for the partner parlay to minus 2.5. The Rams would get an extra half point on that one, and a field goal would win it for the parlay, minus 2.5. Giants, same thing. Got them in the best bets. Do like them over Houston coming in off the bye. They're a 4.5 point favorite. We've got that back to 2.5. And then the one pick that obviously you're on the other side for a smaller number is Cleveland. Cleveland right now is plus 3.5 in Miami. I'm going to get an extra 2 on this one and see if the Browns can keep this one within 6. Looking forward to another big game on the ground from Nick Chubb. So Cleveland plus 6, and then the Rams, Cowboys, and Giants all laying 2.5 points gets just south of 7-1 plus 694. So I don't know if I hit a 4-gamer on this one, but I really like these games and had a tough time deciding who was out. So they're all in.
Yeah, I got a 4-gamer too, but it's just money line. I mean, I'm just going to kind of play it a little bit safer. Plus 331. Dallas, we talked about them yesterday and talked about them a little bit today already against the Green Bay Packers. So I got Dallas money line. I got the Giants money line. San Francisco, I considered San Fran at the 7, to be honest with you. I mean, considering who they're playing this week and the way that they've been trending in the right direction, their opponents certainly have not. So I'm pretty comfortable with San Francisco money line here. And then Miami, I am on Miami. Miami might be that game that comes back and bites me this week, but I'm on Miami money line at home. Their offense is good no matter where they're playing, and their defense is just so much better at home than it is on the road. I think I really like Miami. Also mentioned earlier, I mean, as long as Tua has played at least half the snaps this year, they're undefeated. I mean, they're 6-0 in games which he has played the full game or more than half the game. So I like that money line plus 331. And then the other one, I see the Giants. You adjusted them to 2.5. I also adjusted them to 2.5. I moved that Pittsburgh line down to 4.5, which should be more than enough. And then I did go back to Miami again, and I took the over 26.5 points here at home. Against a Cleveland team that Cleveland's been pretty much a steady diet of overs this year in their games, right? They've scored some points as well, but they've allowed a lot. So I know what they did, a couple weeks ago, and everybody's super pumped about it, but I think Miami's going to score points in this game. So I got Miami over 26.5 with Pittsburgh at plus 4.5 and the Giants at minus 2.5. And that one will give you a plus 355 number. We also have some touchdown scores for you this weekend, Huss, and Juju on the card this week against the Jags.
Juju's on the card. This is going to be, listen, the Chiefs have the Jags at home. The Chiefs struggled at times offensively, but it wasn't really in the passing game. It was in the running game last week. And I would not all be surprised if they really do try to reestablish the run and get Clyde Edwards-Helaire and get Jerick McKinnon in there and maybe a little bit of Isaiah Pacheco. But the one thing that you can't ignore is that outside of Travis Kelce, who's in his own little area code when it comes to his connection with Patrick Mahomes and his offensive viability in starting lineups and in prop bets, that Juju Smith-Schuster is clearly the number one receiver for the Kansas City Chiefs right now. And he seems to get more comfortable, and Mahomes gets more comfortable with him game after game. So he's had some big games, hasn't been in the end zone very often. But I think there's a lot of people expecting that to start happening a lot more often. And that's why this number is only plus 110. But I still really do like it for the Chiefs and Juju Smith-Schuster going up against the Jacksonville Jaguars at Arrowhead. And then, you know what? This is a little bit more with the love for the Pittsburgh Steelers. They'll run the football for sure. But I think this is going to be a time for Kenny Pickett to continue building. And George Pickens is one of the most exciting young receivers with the best hands in football. I think that he's going to have a big second half of the season. I think this home game, the boost they've got on the defensive side with Watt coming back, I think that, we'll see a little bit more juice from that Steelers offense. And rookies like Pickens, I'm feeling that this is the time he's going to really start trending upwards along with his quarterback. So at more than 2-1, loving the Steelers in the game. Let's get George Pickens at plus 220 for the other touchdown prop.
Yeah, and I've got TJ Hawkinson. It's plus 240 for TJ Hawkinson. Didn't have a touchdown in his debut with the Vikings, but he had 9 catches in that game. We know Justin Jefferson's the go-to guy. Justin Jefferson, go-to guy. I get it. But if one game in, Kirk Cousins is relying on Hawkinson that much, man, there are some red zone targets in his future. I think this is the lowest that you're going to get, or the most value you're going to get on TJ Hawkinson between now and the end of the season at plus 240. So, he was brought in for this reason. Nothing against Adam Thielen, but TJ Hawkinson is a big-time target in the red zone and in the end zone. So I love TJ Hawkinson at plus 240. I was going around through a bunch of different games, and I was like, what? Hawkinson's plus 240? Yes, please. And then, Walker's, it's amazing that Kenneth Walker is still plus money on touchdowns. His last 5 games, Huss, touchdown, 2 touchdowns, touchdown, 2 touchdowns. He's got 7 touchdowns in his last 5 games, and we're still getting him at plus 110. It just doesn't make any sense. And you say, oh, it's the Bucs. Don't give me that. It's the Bucs argument anymore, okay? The Bucs aren't what they once were, all right? It's the Seahawks. The Seahawks offense I think in their last like 5 games, they've scored at least 27 points in like 4 of them. I mean, their offense has been and I mean, it's not a coincidence that that's since they gave Kenneth Walker an elevated role. I mean, their whole offense has been clicking, but Walker has certainly helped it. So you're getting Kenneth Walker at plus 110 still. That's just insane value for a guy who has 7 touchdowns in his last 5 games. When you look around the rest of the league, you see a lot of these top-end tier 1 running backs at minus money, and you're still getting Walker at plus 110. So I love that pick. I think Uncle Patty mentioned it during the Best Bets visit yesterday as well. I mean, I think we all got to be on that one. That just makes too much sense.
And you know what? I mean, I'm thanks to Come For Away that pointed out that these futures and season props are back up. I've just sort of been paying attention to a few of these and expanding them while we've been doing this here. And Walker is minus money, minus 132 on offensive rookie of the year. And it's pretty interesting. Like, he's minus 132. Then Damian Pierce, who's had a great season as well for the Texans, at plus 230. Chris Olave at 5-1. And then everybody else. And
yeah,
listen, I think that if Kenneth Walker stays healthy and the Seahawks stay in this, I mean, way more people are paying attention to the Seahawks now because of what they've done so far this year. Not a lot of people paying too much attention to the Texans, even with how much of a load Pierce is carrying for Lovie Smith over there. And I mean, Chris Olave, I've got him in fantasy. He's been awesome so far. But everything that's happening with New Orleans and between Jameis to Andy Dalton, they're pretty inconsistent. So if you're big on Walker and you're looking for a little bit of a season bet, you can jump on over there at minus 132. And couldn't help but notice my guy Mahomes is now down to plus 180 for regular season MVP. So that large chunk I threw down at 8-1 at preseason's looking pretty good right now. Fingers crossed.
Just quickly on those futures, I just popped in there as well. And Kenneth Walker at minus 132. The defensive rookie of the year is Sauce Gardner at minus 132 as well. Same number and a ridiculous amount of value on Sauce Gardner. He has, I saw it earlier this week. Like, he has played some of the best receivers in the league. And I think the number I saw was something ridiculous. Like, he's given up 4 catches for 24 yards or something. Like, nobody has done anything against Sauce Gardner this year. So if you're looking for a futures that got pretty decent value on right now, when we talked about Geno Smith at minus 164, Sauce Gardner and Kenneth Walker at minus 132, that might be the best you see that number at between now and the end of the season.
To be honest, I think the Sauce Gardner is even better value than the Kenneth Walker.
Yeah, I think it is too.
Tariq Woolen's plus 270, and then you got Aiden Hutchinson at 9-1, Thibodeau at 25. I mean, again, unless he gets hurt, I think he's winning this. I'll be honest, I'm surprised that that's not more like minus 170, 180, minus 200 right now. Hell, you could almost have it close to what the Vikings number is to win the NFC North at minus 33. So funny. Philly's undefeated, and yet they're only minus 500, but it just speaks to how bad the Packers and the rest of that division are, that they have put elected, to use the election term, the Vikings, NFC North champions.
Yeah,
halfway into the season.
Yeah, it's already locked in. As long as they don't cut away to Amazing Race, everything should be all right, I think. All right, that's going to do it for Props and Parlays Saturday. You can sit back. You can enjoy the Sunday action. Huss, what else do you got on the go there? What do you?
Well, I would like to direct people my favorite picks, and it's been great. And unfortunately, where I've been hitting the most is on the Sunday specials in the passing numbers.
Yes.
Because of Josh Allen's situation, those numbers aren't up yet, because listen, having Allen in or having him out would really, really significantly change most of the other numbers. So they're probably waiting on a conclusive status on Josh Allen. But we do have, and again, if you're unfamiliar, at the bottom of the NFL, it's the Week 10 special. It's the Sunday special. Who will have the most rushing yards on Sunday? Who will have the most receiving yards on Sunday? Who will have the most passing yards on Sunday? The passing's not up right now. For rushing, Derrick Henry's 5-1, Saquon Barkley 6-1. I'm going to put a little sprinkle down on Nick Chubb at 9-1. He is just, such a huge part of that Cleveland defense. And listen, we saw Justin Fields run all over Miami last week. Why not Nick Chubb? That'll certainly be what the Browns would like to do. I like Nick Chubb at 9-1. And, assuming Matt Stafford's going to be there, if he's not, who knows, maybe Wolford can be. But Cooper Kupp, 9-1. Tyreek Hill, obviously the favorite with what he's doing right now at plus 650. But Cooper Kupp at 9-1. So I always like those. You throw 20 on one of those 9-1s and they cash, they pay 200. So I'll probably pop a 20 on both of those. Chubb at 9-1, Cooper Kupp at 9-1. But all the options are there. And Justin Fields, I'm just going to look. If we have a Fields right now is 25-1. I'm not even sure he was on that list. If he was probably more like 50-1 last week. Like Kyler Murray's 50-1. So that's Daniel Jones 50-1. So it just goes to show how wild that game was last week, where he not only beat all quarterbacks but all players and had an all-time high. But I've had a lot of fun and actually some good success, specifically on the quarterbacks on these. So check out those Week 10 specials as well if you're stuck on a game or want to look to something fun to bet on that you can sort of compare for all the games throughout the afternoon and evening.
Come from away NL on Twitter again before we wrap. He goes, I shouldn't listen to you guys. I just dropped 5 units on each of your Rookie of the Year bets. And hey, I say congratulations on getting amazing value on both those guys. They are heavy front runners right now. Yeah. I think that's pretty. Well,
I'd like to thank Come From Away NL on reminding us that all those were up because we spend so much time on the site. Usually they're not there. So this is a nice little time Saturdays. We should do that a little bit more. Check in with the futures on the Saturday afternoon because usually they are up before we get in on Sunday. But partner parlay 4-1. I'm really liking this one. Hopefully, I was agonizing over the picks going into yesterday's show, Dusty, but I'm at peace with them, and now I'm just excited for kickoff tomorrow. And of course, that big CFL game tomorrow afternoon, which you will be calling. I'll be in the stands. It's going to be a fun day in Winnipeg, and may we get a few nice wins and maybe a couple partner parlays. Wouldn't that be great? That would mean the Bombers are going to the Grey Cup too, so I would take it.
Hitting the CFL and an NFL partner parlay on Sunday. Let's do that. Huss, we'll be back on Monday getting you ready for Monday Night Football, and I'll probably see you at IG Field tomorrow, buddy, and we'll talk to you on Monday.
Right on. Travel safe, pal.